The prevailing theme these days seems to be chaos in the West, but what we are really witnessing is the controlled implosion of the criminal cabal that took over the Western financial system and nearly destroyed Western civilization. Among the events associated with this collapse were a fake missile launch in North Korea, the ongoing cover-up of a botched assassination attempt against Obama, multiple liens being placed on cabal-controlled central banks, a trilateral commission meeting in Tokyo, unprecedented military maneuvers and more. We are entering a very dangerous period as the cornered Kabbalists are certainly planning a massive new terrorist attack, possible to jets opening bracket targets closing bracket, Tokyo, Rome, London, in an attempt to stay in power. Military, police and other action against cabal power centers is also picking up pace. One sure sign of change for those still clinging to the old power paradigms is the joint military maneuvers linking the Chinese, Russian and U.S. armed forces. On the one side, rogue Pentagon forces working for the Kabbalists trying to steal Asian gold stashes were confronted by joint Chinese and Russian forces. On a different front, a joint U.S. and Russian forces preparing to storm the Nazi cabal base under Denver Airport. These military maneuvers make it clear, if nothing else, that it is now better to think of geopolitics in terms of transnational factions than it is to think in terms of nation-states. The split between the Obama faction and Sabatian gangster faction is one such example. The murder attempt against Obama in Colombia by members of his own Secret Service early in April is a good example. The corporate propaganda press is only reporting this as a prostitution scandal. However, both MI6 and CIA sources say the murder attempt against Obama was a hit ordered by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and top North American Mossad agent Rahm Emanuel. Obama is not publicly naming them because if he did so, stories about the murder of his homosexual lovers in Chicago and other Obama secrets would start appearing in Sabatian gangster propaganda outlets like the New York Times. The Sabatines, for their part, are putting out stories on internet chat boards claiming the whole assassination attempt was planned by amateur rogue agents. In any case, Netanyahu and his messianic faction is now finally being renounced by mainstream Jews and Israelis. The most public sign of this was former Israeli Internal Security Chief Yuval Diskin announcing Netanyahu and his colleagues' incompetence with the messianic complex. Unlike other such comments, this was widely quoted in the corporate propaganda media. It seems the real Jews are finally taking action against the fanatical messianic gangsters who have been terrorizing them. U.S. protest movements like Occupy Wall Street are also gearing up for what is expected to be a summer of discontent. The organizers have been waiting for warm weather and that weather has arrived. Meanwhile, although there is still talk of mass arrests taking place to clean out the corruption and gangsterism that has taken over the Washington, D.C. political process, it still has not happened. A growing number of people both within and without the military and agencies are growing impatient with the delay. However, the word from the Pentagon is that it will not move until all the I's are dotted and T's crossed in the new financial system. In Europe, meanwhile, signs of collapse are visible for all to see. The crisis in Spain, imminent regime change in Holland and France, arrests all over Europe and the implosion of the big banks are there for all to see either in the corporate media or on the internet. In relation to this, the White Dragon Society was asked to relay the following message: a U.S. agency cleaner, by the name of Lefty, has been sent to Italy to remove scum. Presumably this refers to the hygienic risk posed by clumps of bacteria to be found in Italian public facilities. In Asia, meanwhile, a lot continues under the surface. The cabal subcommittee known as the Trilateral Commission met last week in Tokyo. The public discussions were fairly low-key, but there was a lot of talk about the value of underwater resources in the South China Sea. This was accompanied by Pentagon and allied military maneuvers around China and provocative statements by various cabal assets about tiny territorial disputes with China. This saber-rattling was accompanied by a farcical show in North Korea. Hundreds of cabal luminaries and other international guests were invited to North Korea for the 100-year anniversary of Kim Il-sung. As one of the highlights of the festivities, the guests were all taken to see the provocative rocket North Korea was about to launch. However, at the time of the so-called launch, no foreign guests were present and the entire launch area was covered in fog. According to Japanese military intelligence, no foreign government agency was able to get any images whatsoever of the failed launch. The best guess is that the entire thing was a giant publicity stunt. Presumably the upcoming nuclear test is also some sort of negotiation and publicity ploy by cabal forces desperate to stir up trouble in the Far East. They will get nowhere. Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihiko Noda is also in Washington this week, where he is expected to get the cold shoulder. He will be asking for access to the vast sums of money located inside Bank of Japan computers, but Obama and other Washington lackeys are not in a position to hand it over. If they could, you can be sure they would use it themselves. Instead, a lien has been placed on the Bank of Japan, claiming this institution has been engaged in illegal and fraudulent money creation since 1968. Depending on its response to the lien, the BOJ may be impounded by police acting on orders from Interpol. The best guess for fundamental regime change in Japan and the West is that the month of May will be characterized mainly by the continuing collapse of the old world order. There is plenty of talk about big events in June linked to the liberation of the West and Japan. The White Dragon Society, for its part, has begun a systematic campaign on multiple levels to overthrow the cabal. There will not be much to see at first, but just wait.